I think the challenge for any organization, new or old, is to find a way to gain a competitive advantage, to be able to deliver some value to their customer that's unique, that other companies are not able to deliver. To find that unique position in the market, there's lots of ways to do it. Sometimes it's just luck. Sometimes it reflects the history and experiences somebody's had in another company. They see a need that hasn't really been met. But ultimately, all strategy evolves from finding a way to be unique for your customer. A very strong urge that managers have is to actually see what somebody else is doing and imitate. It's very hard for somebody to go in a different direction. There's lots of people who will criticize or say, oh, that's not possible. So I think the passion, you have to have a real insight, you have to believe in yourself, and those things are fairly rare. That's why entrepreneurs are so scarce. There's not many of them. But then I think there's many other forces that make it hard to have strategy. If you feel like you have to have a consensus and everybody has to agree, it makes it hard to have a strategy, because the strategy is really about choice and trade-offs. And the capital markets, financial markets are very short-term, and they're trying to push you to do better today, whereas to have a strategy you really need to have a longer-term view. So there are many forces against strategy. I think the more employees really understand the strategy at some level, the better. Again, one of the most important purposes of strategy is to get everybody in the organization moving in the same direction. A good leader is a good communicator of strategy down through the organization, but strategy has to be known by the customer, strategy has to be known by the supplier, strategy has to be known by many of the constituencies that work with the firm. See, in the old days, we used to think that strategy should be a secret. Only a few people should know, and we should hide it under lock and key at night. Now I think we understand that the more you communicate the strategy, the more valuable it is, even for your competitors to know the strategy. Because if they understand what you're committed to do, you're very serious to do, maybe they'll do something else. Well, I have found that there's still a tremendous amount of confusion about strategy, about what it means. I think it is a little bit more typical that we see people try to communicate the strategy. We have a lot of organizations. Frankly, I still find that most of the mistakes in strategy come from within the company. It's not the outside forces, it's not the competitor. It's really bad thinking that don't follow the logical principles of strategy. And probably the single biggest mistake that companies make is to imitate what their competitors do. Of course, the world is changing, and one of the core principles of strategy is that strategy is different than what we call operational improvement or operational effectiveness. You're always looking for best practices, you're always looking for better ways of doing things. You're doing that every day. The strategy is how you choose to be different. And there, again, you're constantly learning. You're constantly learning about how to make your value proposition even better. You're constantly learning how to make your distinctive strength even stronger. So we shouldn't think of strategy as a static thing. We should think about something that's constantly renewing itself. But that doesn't mean that you go in every different direction. You have to have a clear sense of what your purpose is, what your fundamental value is, who your key customers are. That's fundamental to actually success. You can't just try to react to every change. You have to change with a strategic framework in mind.